Hi everybody, my name is Theresa Wasiloski. I am a movement artist. I teach for a program called the PACE program in Lafayette, Louisiana. And the PACE program is an arts integration program that is run by the Acadiana Center for the Arts for the Lafayette Parish school system. So today we've got a really fun lesson about Greek myths. We're going to be learning about Theseus and the Minotaur. We are also going to be talking about some dance concepts, pathway, using stage space, and using something called intention. We're going to create a labyrinth today, which is so cool. I'm so excited about. So we're going to do a practice one on a piece of paper. I'll show you how to make a labyrinth. So you'll need a piece of paper and a pencil or pen or crayon. And then we're going to actually make a bigger labyrinth. So if you have enough space to make one inside, you can just use some yarn or string, and you'll need some scissors as well. And I'll show you how to do that. Or if you want to make one outside, you could draw one like in a driveway with some chalk. Okay, so the only other thing that you'll need is enough space to move. Remember, you can pause the video anytime you need. So if you need to pause and go grab some supplies and come back, that sounds great. But first, we're going to learn about using stage space, pathway, and intention. So we can stand up and get ready. All right, so we should be up on our feet now, and we're going to talk about stage space first. So a lot of times if we're doing movement art, especially if it's a performance or for a performance, we can think about the space that we're using as our stage space or our performance space, right? So this is the space where the performing, the moving happens, and usually an audience is on the other side of that space, sometimes all around. They could be in different places, but when we're performing or doing moves to show someone a performance of our dance, we have a performance space and we have an audience who is watching, right? They are the people that we're dancing for. And sometimes we might be doing a dance that is telling a story or that has a message that we want to tell our audience, that we want our audience to understand. And we can use our stage space in a different way to kind of help us give our message or help us say what we want to say so that the audience understands it. Okay, so we're going to learn some things about a stage space. So we would call the middle of our space. Well, first of all, I'm just going to walk around my space so you can kind of see. So when we think of a performance space, a lot of times we think of it as a rectangle, but it doesn't always have to be. We can have like a circle. There are lots of different kinds of performance space, but when we're away from the audience. So let's call each other the audience, right? So the screen, you guys will be my audience, I'll be your audience. How about that? So when we're facing the screen, we can think of that as facing the audience. Now if we're far away from our audience, we call this upstage, okay? So see if you can walk upstage. So you would walk far away from me. So upstage. So the opposite of that would be downstage, close to the audience. So let's walk close to each other. Walking downstage, walking down. We don't have to go low like this, even though I'm saying downstage. I'm doing that so I can see you guys. Okay, let's walk it upstage again. Walking upstage, walking upstage. We're going to walk downstage. Okay. All right, let's go to the center of our stage. So we call this is about center stage. Okay, so center stage. Center stage can be the most powerful place that you can stand in a stage space. So if you had a move or a message and you want it to be very powerful, right? And powerful the way that it impacts the audience, right? You want them to really feel it. You could use center stage. But here's the thing, when you use center stage, if you stay there for a long time or use it so much, the effect of it being powerful kind of goes away. All right, so center stage. We could use upstage in a way, like if we wanted to have an idea, maybe a sense of a setting or people that are far away or something that happened a long time ago, right? We could use upstage. So the way it would look to the audience would be different, right? So let's say we're making a shape or something, right? So the way the audience would see it might be different than the way an audience would see that same shape if it was really close to them. So this might be a more personal space to work in. Upstage might be a more distant stage to work in. Now we can use pathways. We also have stage left and stage right. That is the performer's right and left, right? So raise your left hand. So walk in that direction. That's your stage left. Now raise your right hand, walk in that direction. That's your stage right. Okay, so the way that we travel on stage can kind of affect some different ideas and the way that our movement is read and understood by an audience too. So let's say if we use the pathway for movement, let's take that kind of same shape and we'll take it across an upstage pathway. This kind of shape actually reminds me of like maybe the muses. I'm in mythology mode. I'm thinking of I don't know, some urns with different shapes on them, but I'm thinking of so we've got a upstage pathway, something going far across the way, like distant, right? So we could also do a downstage pathway. Let's do a diagonal. So diagonal pathways are interesting because it gets closer or farther away to the audience. And it's interesting to look at. So we might see like somebody as kind of distant, and then, I don't know, maybe feel like we're closer to them as they get closer to the audience, right? And we could do another pathway that would go directly from upstage to downstage. So if we wanted to send a message that was very direct, we could find some ways to come straight at the audience, right? So that might be a more powerful way to connect with the audience. All right, let's talk a little bit about something called intention. So intention is something that's it's a dance tool that I think is really helpful to use like as a performer. So if you are a dancer in a dance piece, it's really awesome to dance with intention. So intention has to do with how you move, and it also has to do with your thoughts and your feelings. Okay, so the way that I learned about this, I learned about it in an acting class, and it really helped my dancing performance. So I also learned about it in dance too, but your thoughts and your feelings have to do with your intention. So you have a thought first, right? And then you have a feeling next. And that feeling, those feelings and thoughts affect the way that you hold your body, you move your body, how fast, how slow, how much energy you're using. So I'll give you an example, right? I'm going to have a thought, I am hungry. Okay, that's my thought. So I'm thinking I am hungry. And then here's my feeling that comes next. I'm hungry, I want a burger. Oh, that really changed the way that my face looks, the way that I'm holding my body. I don't know, I've got this thing like, burger, I don't know. So that my thoughts and my feelings can change the way that I'm using my energy and the way that I'm making a shape with my body. And then, so if I wanted to like show like, I want a burger or a veggie burger, however you do it, right? So if I have that like, oh, burger, cheeseburger situation going on here, I might find a way like to move like that is my cheeseburger dance. We could think of another one too, but that's an example. So intention also has to do with like what you want to say or what you want to happen. So it has to do with the outcome that you want, right, of your dance. So if you are going to move and there's an outcome that you want, right? It's always about food with Theresa, I have to tell you. So let's say that you are going to, in your dance, you have this idea of like, I want a cookie. Now it's a cookie. And you were going to go up to your parents to ask for a cookie. So that's the outcome you would want, would be like to get your cookie, right? Right. So how would you approach mom and dad, grandma, grandpa, whoever? How would you approach them so that you could get that outcome, so that you could get that cookie, right? Let's see. So in your thought, I want a cookie, you might be like, yeah, cookie, right? And then you got mom and dad, so we're gonna think about how we might go up to them, and it might change, like, hi mom, hi dad, you're looking amazing today. Did you get a haircut? I love it. Are those cookies on the counter? Something like that. So those thoughts and those feelings and those things that we want, that's intention, and it changes the way that we move. When an audience sees a performer using intention, that really helps them make a connection and have an understanding with what your dance is about and what you're thinking and feeling. We can understand each other, and that makes the dance really interesting to watch. So that is intention. All right, so let's switch gears and talk a little bit about some Greek mythology. So this myth is a hero myth, and it's the story of Theseus and how he defeated the Minotaur. So what the Minotaur was a beast that was half man, half bull, and it lived inside of a labyrinth, which was this big maze on the island of Crete. So the king of that island, Minos, he was the father of the Minotaur. So his wife gave birth to a half bull, half human monster in the myth, in the story. And the king did not want to have him killed, but the monster ate people and he was fearsome and scary. So what he did instead was he put him inside of this labyrinth where the Minotaur could not find his way out. Now, the Minotaur was fine as long as he was being fed, and the king of Crete, King Minos, was kind of a little bit of a bully, and he was mad at the people in Athens because one of his sons had gone to Athens and gotten killed. So basically what he did was he told the king of Athens, if you don't send over 7 boys and 7 girls for my Minotaur to eat, then we will destroy your city. So not very nice, kind of a bully, right? So the king of Athens had no choice but to send over his people to Crete. And this happened several times, and it was very sad for all of the people. So on the 3rd time, when the group of 7 boys and 7 girls were getting ready to go to the island to be given to the monster, Theseus, who was the prince of Athens, stood up and he said, I'm going to go and I'm going to defeat the Minotaur. So he had an intention, right? What was his intention? His thought was probably that that's not fair and this is making everybody really sad. So I'm going to go and I'm going to see if I can defeat the Minotaur and stop this problem from happening. So he went to Crete, and when they were getting off of the boat, another character named Ariadne, who was one of Minos' daughter, saw Theseus, and she was like, oh my gosh, he's so handsome, I'm just like super in love with him. And so she didn't want him to be killed. So she went to Daedalus, who designed the labyrinth, and was like, what can I do to help him win and help save him? So they developed a plan. And she went to his cell where he was staying, and she brought some string and she brought a sword for him to use. And she said, okay, so when you go into the labyrinth, tie a string to the door before you go out, and then carry the string, follow with you through the labyrinth. Go in the middle of the night when the Minotaur is sleeping, so you can sneak up on him and defeat him. And then when you're done, you can follow the string and you'll be able to get back out of the labyrinth. But you have to marry me. If you do this, I'll give you this stuff, but you have to marry me, because she was in love with him. So he was like, yeah, sure. So he was able to sneak in, defeat the Minotaur, and follow the string back out, get out of the labyrinth, and set the Athenian youths free. Okay, so now if you don't have your paper and pencil, you can go ahead and grab it. I'm going to show you how to make a labyrinth. We're going to practice by drawing one first, and then I'm going to create one in my movement space. And we'll play with walking through our labyrinth, our pathway, with intention. Okay, so go ahead and pause it, grab your pencil and paper if you don't have that now, and or your string or yarn and scissors, or if you're going to do this later on going outside with some chalk, you can do it too. So drawing a labyrinth is pretty easy. It's pretty cool. There's a couple different ways to do it, but we're going to do a really simple one first. So first thing you have to do is you're just going to make a cross like this. Boop, just like that. I don't know. All right. And then we're gonna draw, like, so if this was like a square around here, we're gonna draw a little circle. So these little dots, really, like that, okay? So we're going to start on this side, like at the top of this cross, and I'm going to make a little loop over to the next one. Okay, so now I'm going to move over to this side, and we're going to make another loop that's a little bigger, and we're going to loop in the same direction. So we're going to make a loop like that. Okay, now we keep going, so we're not going to go to the dot, we're going to go to all the open ends. And we'll go around like this, okay? And so last one, we are here, and we're going to keep going around. Oh, we're going to have to get kind of a little skinny right there. There we go. That's cool. And we go all the way to the bottom of the cross, and we have made a labyrinth, a pathway. So there's a center of the labyrinth, and you can just trace with your finger if you like, right? So you could kind of go through the pathway. So a labyrinth and a maze are actually different things. Mazes like have different kind of stops and starts and places where you can get stuck. But a labyrinth is just like one pathway. And some people use labyrinths like as a way to meditate. So you can walk that pathway, and it can kind of relax you and help you to clear your mind. So I just went back out of the labyrinth. All right, we're gonna try to make a big one on the floor. Okay, so first I snipped 2 pieces of yarn to start off with my cross. So next I cut 4 smaller pieces of yarn for the dots in the corners. Okay, so now when I do the next part, I am going to actually take my scissors and my yarn with me to kind of walk and lay the yarn down before I cut it, so that I can make sure I have the right length. Otherwise, I think measuring it would kind of take a lot of time. So we're gonna do that next. So we're gonna start at the top of our cross and go to the next dot. Okay, so I moved from the top of the cross and did a loop of yarn to the dot on the right. Now I'm going to move to the left of that top of the cross and do the same thing with a bigger loop going to the right. Here's what that next step looks like. And now we'll start at the left side of the cross, looping around to the right at the bottom right dot. Okay, now we've just got one more step left to do, so we're going to start with the bottom left dot and loop all the way around to the bottom of the cross. Okay, so here's what my completed yarn labyrinth looks like. And remember, if you need to see any of those steps over again, you can pause and rewind. You can go look at the video of me drawing it, or take a look at the yarn one, so you guys can create your own. So once you have created a large labyrinth, we're going to walk a pathway in our labyrinth. So we'll get ready to do that next. Okay, so we have completed our big labyrinth, and let's go ahead and see if we can walk our pathway, and then we'll do some exercises walking our pathway with intention. All right, so there's the opening of the labyrinth right here. That's where you enter, right? Okay, so we'll just do a little walk. Now this one is kind of a small labyrinth, but if you had fun making these, you can look online, and there are ways to make much bigger ones, and it's not too complicated. All right, I found myself all the way in the middle of my labyrinth, and now I can turn around and go out. So I think this one would be a little probably easier to navigate than the one that Theseus had to go in and out of. It's not too hard to find my way out of this one. All right, so going back to the idea of intention, we want to think about walking a pathway with intention. So let's go back and think about Theseus a little bit. What was his intention? What was his purpose in volunteering to go to Crete? What did he want to do? What did he want the outcome to be? So the purpose that he wanted was to defeat the Minotaur and to save the children of Athens from being shipped over there to be eaten, right? So that was his intention, that was his purpose. So what do you think? We said when we dance with intention, we have our thoughts first and then our feelings. So what could have been the first thought that he had about that? Probably like, that's not right. That's not an okay thing to do. And how do you think he would feel when he was understanding what was happening? Probably pretty angry. Yeah, maybe angry or very sad that was happening to those kids. And then he might have decided to make a choice to act, to what to do, like, I'm going to help. So he decided to be a helper and a hero. So if he made that decision, like, I'm going to be a helper and a hero, how would that make you feel? Probably, maybe determined would be a way. So if you're feeling determined, I'm going to be a helper, and you're feeling determined, what my body does when I'm thinking about, or when I'm feeling determined, is I stand up tall and I lift my chin and I look around for the things to do. So I'm gonna do that idea. So I'm thinking, I'm going to help when you're going in, yeah? Standing up tall. I don't know if you can see me standing up tall this way, but maybe you can tell from my belly that I'm pulled up tall as I walk through. So we can imagine how Theseus might walk when he's deciding to help, right? Now that might be a very different intention than when it's time to go into the maze to defeat the Minotaur, right? Because he needs to be careful so the Minotaur doesn't eat him too. So he might walk a very different way. Even if he's feeling determined, he might be thinking, I need to be careful. So he might want to be very quiet. So if we were walking like this and doing a performance, we've got our intention, and the audience would probably be able to understand that we're trying to be very careful right now so that we don't get eaten. And you can tell how I'm doing walks. I was doing walks the first time when I was feeling determined, and this time when I'm being careful, but you can see how the walks are very different. So the thoughts that we think and the emotions that we feel really change the way that we move and the way that we act. Okay. All right, so maybe you can try and play with some different intentions, different stories and ideas to walk through your labyrinth. Hey guys, thanks so much for joining me today. I hope you had fun making your labyrinth and learning about intention and pathway and using your stage space. Tomorrow we're actually going to continue learning about Greek myths, about Theseus and the Minotaur. And so if you guys want to join us tomorrow, then we can learn about it even more. Don't forget, we'll be posting a new lesson every day at 10 a.m. on the Acadiana Center for the Arts YouTube channel for kindergarten, first and second grades, and each lesson is tied to the academic curriculum. You can also get these lessons on AOC as part of the Learn United program. It's accessible on AOC on Calix Channel 16 or LUS Channel 4. Kindergarten lessons air at 8 a.m. and first and second grade lessons air at 9 a.m. Some lessons will be in visual arts and some will be in creative movement. So be sure to come back and make some art with us tomorrow. If you're interested in supporting programs like this, visit acadianacenterforthearts.org. They're the nonprofit who manages the PACE program. Spread the word, share our videos, and keep making art. Thanks guys, have a great day, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.